Good Tuesday morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, the voice you know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by the Family Forest Carbon Program, where we help family forest owners get paid to improve the health of their woods. I'm Joe Everett with today's farm news. Some quick notes on the calendar. We will be at the Pickaway County Fair tomorrow thanks to Lice Mercantile, experience you can trust. For more information, you can visit licemercantile.com. Then stay ahead in soybean farming with the latest research and insights. Follow the Ohio Field Leader program at ocj.com. Brought to you by the Ohio Soybean Council and their checkoff. Then the 25th Annual Crawford Antique Farm Machinery Show is June 19th through the 21st at the Crawford County Fairgrounds in Bucyrus. Visit Crawford Antique Farm Machinery Association on Facebook to learn more. Well, yesterday, the USDA Weekly Crop Progress Report came out. Let's take a look at those numbers. Coverage of the Ohio Crop Progress Report is sponsored by Unleaded 88. Save on fuel with the blue handle. Fill up with Unleaded 88. Discover more at ohiocornandwheat.org. Starting with the national numbers, 94% of the corn had emerged as of Sunday. That is 2 points ahead of last year's 92% and consistent with the 5-year average. As for its crop condition, estimated that 72% of the crop was in good to excellent condition, up 1 point from 71% the previous week and consistent with this time last year. As we turn to soybeans, planting progress moved ahead 3 points to reach 93% complete as of Sunday. That is 1 percentage point ahead of last year's 92%, but 1 percentage point behind the 5-year average of 94%. As for its crop development, 84% of the soybeans had emerged as of Sunday. That is 4 points ahead of last year's 80% and 1 point ahead of the 5-year average of 83%. As for the crop condition, estimated that 66% of the soybeans had emerged and were in good to excellent condition, down 2 points from 68% the previous week and 4 points below 70% last year. Taking a look at winter wheat, 93% of the winter wheat had headed nationwide as of Sunday. That's consistent with this time last year and 1 point ahead of the 5-year average of 92%. As for the harvest progress, harvest moved ahead 6 percentage points last week to reach 10% complete nationwide. That is 15 points behind last year's 25% and 6 points behind the 5-year average pace of 16%. As for the crop condition, an estimated 52% of the winter wheat was rated good to excellent as of June 15th, down 2 points from 54% the previous week and 3 points ahead from 49% a year ago. Now looking at your numbers from the Buckeye State, corn emerged in Ohio reached 86%, trailing the 5-year average of 91%. Crop condition remained steady with 49% rated good and 9% rated excellent. As for soybeans, planting is near complete at 92%, just a tick under the 5-year average of 93%. However, only 79% of the soybeans have emerged, also trailing the average of 82%. Soybean condition shows 48% are rated good and 6% are rated excellent. As for winter wheat in Ohio, it is 99% headed and harvest has not yet meaningfully begun. The crop condition is mostly favorable with 53% rated good and 13% rated excellent. As for oats, they are now 98% emerged and 56% headed, running well ahead of average. Pasture and range conditions also remain healthy with 66% rated good and 11% excellent. Stay tuned. We'll be back with today's weather after this.
If your summer road trip leads you to Ohio's farm country, be sure to share the road with Ohio's farmers. Farm machinery moves slowly, makes wide turns, and needs extra space to avoid obstacles like mailboxes and guardrails. Let's all be mindful and make sure everyone gets home safe and sound this year. This message brought to you by the Ohio AgNet, OSU Extension Ag Safety and Health Team, and this station.
Nearly 90% of farmers say that financial worries, constantly changing market conditions, and other uncontrollable variables take a toll on their mental well-being. Add in the weather and family dynamics, well, it's a lot to handle alone. But did you know farmers and their families can receive free confidential services from licensed professionals? Support is available 24/7 to help with the challenges you face. Look for Farm Family Wellness Alliance under the Resources tab at farmfoundation.org. Take care of yourself. Your well-being matters.
You're tuning in on the Ohio AgNet. Today's weather brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
A lot of clouds around over Ohio through your Tuesday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at your forecast update. Clouds are coming from a minor disturbance that's coming out of the mid-Mississippi and Ohio River valleys up across our region here. This is going to throw probably some moisture in as well, not just cloud cover, but moisture anywhere from US 30 southward. I think we have to allow for probably a few hundredths to at least half an inch through the day today. Northern parts of the state, while I don't think you see a lot of precipitation, I won't rule out a few spits and sprinkles, especially this evening and overnight. For tomorrow and Thursday, we have a frontal body that's wanting to work through. I don't think it brings a lot of moisture for Wednesday, just some clouds. But overnight, Wednesday night through Thursday, we see on-again, off-again showers and thunderstorms. Anywhere from a quarter to 1 inch of precipitation, coverage at 90% of the Buckeye State. Behind that, we try and dry down for Thursday overnight and Friday. Then we keep the warmer, drier air in for the weekend. Partly to mostly sunny for both Saturday the 21st and Sunday the 22nd. Temperatures a bit above normal. We turn off hot for next week, well above normal temperatures at least Monday through Wednesday. But with the heat, we also see instability starting to come in. Pop off scattered showers and thunderstorms for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday will bring timely moisture to finish the week, but it's not going to be the moisture that we can do a whole lot with in and around because it's a fairly solid mass of moisture over those 3 days. That's a look at your forecast update. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Well, President Trump's administration directed immigration officials to largely pause raids on farms, hotels, restaurants, and meatpacking plants. The order to scale back on immigration raids came from President Trump himself. It appears to slow down a late May demand from the White House aide, Stephen Miller, for more aggressive immigration raids. The president posted on Truth's social site that he disapproved of how farmers and hotels were being affected. Well, U.S. Ag Secretary Brooke Rollins announced that American agricultural producers will have greater market access to Thailand and Vietnam and maintain access to Brazil. Actions by the administration included maintaining consistent access to Brazilian markets for U.S. dairy producers. Citrus and apple growers will be able to sell more products to Thailand, and stone fruit growers will face lower non-tariff barriers in Vietnam as a result of actions taken by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. American farmers and ranchers grow the safest and most abundant food supply in the world, said USDA Secretary Rollins. Expanded access to Brazil, Thailand, and Vietnam will result in millions in added trade for the United States. Well, President Donald Trump struck a win for the ethanol industry and corn growers last week when he signed a congressional resolution to rescind California's electric vehicle mandate. California vows to sue the Trump administration, but for now, a Biden-era waiver that allowed the state to phase out the sale of new gas-powered cars by 2035 has now been rescinded. President Trump signed the congressional measure ending the California ban and that of 11 other states and D.C. that followed California.
You couldn't buy any other car except an electric-powered car. And in California, they have blackouts and brownouts. They don't have enough electricity right now to do the job. And countrywide, you'd have to spend $4 trillion to build the firing plants, charging plants, firing plants.
California argued its rule would benefit both public health and the environment by reducing emissions. But the ethanol industry warned early on that this huge California market for lower emission corn ethanol would evaporate.
If that is, in fact, what happens, yeah, it's going to have some far-reaching impacts on the fuel market, and by extension, it's going to have an impact on the corn market.
Renewable Fuels Association President Jeff Cooper.
California is the single largest consumer of gasoline when you look at all 50 states, and the single largest consumer of ethanol.
Trump also signed resolutions to overturn California rules that require most new trucks sold in the state to also be electric. But to pass the measures, Congress overruled rulings by the GAO and the Senate parliamentarian that the Biden-era approval was a waiver that couldn't be overturned like a rule. Well, the Meat Institute called today for the processing sector, a critical part of the meat and poultry supply chain, to be included in the Trump administration's plan for a stable and legal agriculture workforce. As reforms are considered, we urge the Trump administration to include meat and poultry packers and processors in the efforts to improve agriculture work programs, said Julianne Potts, president and CEO of the Meat Institute. More than 850,000 hog farmers, cattle ranchers, and poultry growers rely on meat packers to market their animals, and consumers rely on processors for the nutrient-dense meat and poultry they feed their families. The meat and poultry processors keep the rural economy moving by producing the beef, pork, and poultry purchased by 98% of American households. Our members need changes to the H-2A visa program and modernization of E-Verify to ensure the processing sector has a year-round workforce, Potts added. Stay tuned. We'll be back with your grain analysis and your overnight markets after this.
Attention construction pros. Purple Wave Auction brings quality equipment to your fingertips. Join our bi-weekly online auctions featuring dozers, excavators, loaders, and more. We provide detailed listings, photos, and seller contact info. Inspect online or in person. With our no reserve policy, every item sells to the highest bidder. Visit purplewave.com today and see why informed builders choose Purple Wave. Transparent processes, real deals. Your next great purchase awaits. purplewave.com.
Get the equipment and trucks you need at the Ritchie Brothers' next Great Lakes Regional event on June 26th and 27th. This absolute unreserved auction will feature online bidding, and items are located in Columbus, Chicago, and Detroit. Choose from over 2,000 items, including a wide selection of construction equipment, truck, tractors, and more. Don't miss Ritchie Brothers' Great Lakes Regional event on June 26th and 27th. For more details, visit rbauction.com. Again, that's rbauction.com. It's now time for today's market analysis, which is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company, excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Call 574-566-2113 for information on soybean marketing to LDC. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished the Monday session on a mixed note. Corn was down sharply, as was wheat. Meanwhile, soybeans put together a modest run. The July number just didn't do a whole lot through the day yesterday, but we were solidly green all day long. There were some ebbs and flows as the day went on, different stories coming out. The NOPA report added some fuel to the soy rally overall. Member crush totaled 192.8 million bushels, a record for the month of May, up 5% year on year, mostly in line with the trade expectations. The NOPA data underscores the market's reactions to the EPA proposed mandate. Remember, those are the RVOs that really spooked the markets higher last Friday. We saw follow-through on Monday in the soy oil camp. The expanded limits were 450 points, and we saw most contracts through the fall trade near that. Only the July contract closed at the expanded 450 limit. So expanded limits in play again here as we move through the Tuesday session. Be aware of that. Largely, though, soybeans did not go along for the ride with soy oil, as they were much more muted in the reaction. So we'll have to see just how long we can ride this RVO tail in terms of other kind of market forces. Meanwhile, corn and wheat both lower. I'm going to go with the wheat first. I think there's a large part of the Middle East uncertainty that's involved in this wheat number, pulling back from last Friday's excitement after Iran and Israel continue to volley missiles back and forth at each other. Nobody really knows where that's going to go. And also, we're looking at some DDG values, looking at competing with meal for Plains feed consumption. That should be a supporting factor in the corn market, but not seeing it hit yesterday. I think there was a lot of resetting or consolidation in the corn market as we try and get ready for the next leg of wherever we are going. Still a few weeks away from the planted acres report that comes out at the end of the month. That's going to be a biggie. I'm Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Now let's take a look at your overnight trade brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Let's start off with July corn, 434.5. down a quarter. December new crop corn, 437.25, up 2 1/4. July soybeans, 1070.25, up a half. November soybeans, 1061, up a half. And July wheat, 541, up 4 1/2. As we look to livestock from yesterday's close, June live cattle, 227.02, up $1.92. August live cattle, 215.55, up $3.10. July lean hogs, $111.80, up $2.32. August lean hogs, $112.67, up $2.55. September feeder cattle, $309.57, up $3.97. And October feeder cattle, $307.37, up $4.02. Thanks for joining us and have a great day, everyone. I'm Joe Everett, and you're listening to the Ohio AgNet.